What scientists just discovered about jellyfish without a brain. Okay, so here is something that is going to break your brain a little. Ready? Jellyfish do not have a brain. They have never had a brain. Not one single thought has ever happened inside a jellyfish, and yet, scientists just discovered that jellyfish can learn, like actually learn, from experience, without a brain. I need you to sit with that for a second because it is absolutely wild. Welcome back, and today we are diving deep into the ocean to talk about one of the strangest creatures that has ever existed on this planet. The jellyfish. No brain, no heart, no bones, no blood. Just a wobbly, squishy, beautiful little blob that somehow keeps outsmarting scientists every single time they think they have figured it out. Let us start with what a jellyfish actually is, because it is weirder than you think. About 95% of a jellyfish is just water. Pure water. If you left a jellyfish out in the sun for too long, it would basically disappear. It would just evaporate right in front of you. There would be almost nothing left. That is not a joke. That is real. A jellyfish is basically a swimming puddle that has figured out how to sting you. Instead of a brain, jellyfish have something called a nerve net. Imagine taking a fishing net and wrapping it all around your body, and that net is what does all your thinking. It is not thinking in sentences or pictures or feelings. It is just reacting. At least, that is what scientists thought. That is what everyone believed for a very long time. And then a team of researchers went to the Caribbean and completely flipped the whole story upside down. Here's the first big surprise. Scientists were studying a tiny jellyfish called the Caribbean box jellyfish. This little guy is only about the size of a fingernail, super small, almost cute. But this tiny creature lives in the ocean near mangrove trees, and every single day it has to navigate through a maze of tree roots to find food. The roots are like a forest under the water. If the jellyfish bumps into a root, it wastes energy and time. So avoiding those roots matters a lot. What scientists discovered blew their minds completely. They put these jellyfish in a special round tank and placed gray and white stripes on the outside of it. At first, the jellyfish kept bumping into the sides of the tank. They thought the stripes were just patterns, and they did not know what they meant. But over time, and we are talking about a very short amount of time, less than 10 minutes, the jellyfish started avoiding the walls before they even touched them. They were learning from their mistakes. Without a brain, without anything that anyone would call a mind, they were actually learning. This is the first time scientists have ever seen an animal with no brain learn from experience in this way. It is called associative learning. That is the same kind of learning your dog uses when it figures out that the sound of a leash means it is about to go for a walk. We thought only animals with proper brains could do that. We were wrong. Now here's where it gets even more surprising. Even though a jellyfish has no brain, it does have eyes, real eyes. The Caribbean box jellyfish actually has 24 eyes. 24. 4 of those eyes can see in full color and can even see up through the water to spot the roots of mangrove trees above them. Most animals with way more brain power than a jellyfish cannot even do that. Your dog cannot look up through a swimming pool and identify individual trees, but this tiny jellyfish can, and it has been quietly doing this for millions of years without anyone noticing. Here is surprising fact number 3, and this one is my personal favorite. Jellyfish are ancient, not like Grandpa ancient. Ancient. They have been on Earth for at least 500 million years, maybe even 700 million years. That means jellyfish were swimming around in the ocean before dinosaurs even existed, before trees existed, before most things that you think of as old even got started. The jellyfish was already there, doing its thing, bumping around in the water, figuring stuff out, and in all that time, evolution never gave them a brain, which sounds like a failure, but maybe it is actually genius. Brains are expensive. Your brain uses about 20% of all the energy your body makes every day. That is a lot of fuel just to power your thoughts. Jellyfish skip all of that. They are lightweight, they are efficient, and apparently they can still figure out how to navigate and learn, all while using almost zero energy. That is not a flaw. That is an incredible design. Here's another fact that will make your jaw drop. There is one species of jellyfish called Turritopsis dohrnii. Scientists call it the immortal jellyfish, and the reason they call it that is because when this jellyfish gets old or sick or stressed, it can actually reverse its own aging. It shrinks back down to the very beginning of its life cycle and starts completely over. Like pressing a reset button. If a human could do that, we would never die. This tiny little jellyfish has basically cracked the code on aging, and it lives in the Mediterranean Sea, and most people have no idea it exists. Now, of course, nobody is saying jellyfish are geniuses. They are not solving math problems. They are not writing songs. But what scientists are saying is that we have been seriously underestimating what a brain-free nervous system can do. And that changes everything. It changes how we think about learning. It changes how we think about intelligence. It even changes how scientists think about the brain itself, because if you can learn without a brain, then what exactly is a brain for? Some researchers think that studying how jellyfish learn could one day help us understand how the very first forms of learning evolved on Earth. Like way back at the beginning, when creatures were just starting to figure out how to survive, the first learning might have looked exactly like this. Simple, quiet, no thoughts, just noticing something and adjusting, just a nerve net in the ocean, bumping into things and slowly getting better. There is something almost poetic about that. The jellyfish has been here since the very beginning. It watched the first fish evolve. It was there when the first land animals crawled out of the sea. It was floating around before the first flower ever bloomed. And through all of it, through every mass extinction, through every ice age, through every dramatic change on this planet, the jellyfish just kept drifting along. No brain, no worries, just vibing. And now in 2024, scientists are looking at this creature that everyone kind of dismissed as a mindless blob and saying, wait, there is something happening here that we do not fully understand yet. There is something in that nerve net that can process experience and change behavior and adapt to new situations. And if that is happening in a jellyfish, then maybe intelligence is not one single thing that lives in one special type of brain. Maybe it is something much older and much stranger and much more spread out across the animal kingdom than we ever imagined. Jellyfish have no brain, and they have been learning anyway. They are nearly invisible in the water. They are made mostly of nothing. They can reverse their own aging. They have 24 eyes that can look up through the water at trees, and they have survived every single disaster this planet has ever thrown at them for over 500 million years. So next time you are at the beach and you see one of those wobbly little blobs washing up near the shore, maybe do not just walk past it. Stop for a second, because that thing floating in the water is one of the oldest, most resilient, most surprisingly clever creatures that has ever existed on Earth. It has no brain, and it has been outwitting scientists for years. And here's the question I want you to answer in the comments today. If a jellyfish can learn without a brain, what do you think that says about intelligence? Does something need a brain to be smart, or is there a whole different kind of smart that we are only just starting to understand? Drop your answer below because I genuinely want to know what you think, and I will see you in the next one.